Recently, I did the hardest thing that I've done in Yes Theory, and it was such a question that every panel, every speech, every whatever interview that I did, people are always like, "Oh, what's the hardest thing you've ever?" And it's so hard to say because we did such diverse, like the catalog of the things that we've done is so diverse, but now it's without a doubt going in darkness for 100 hours. Like there's no, that all represented my biggest fear and most extreme discomfort, and it's like to just sit by myself, be with my thoughts, have no way out, no dopamine hits from anything around, no phone, no social media addiction, no nothing, and really really get to go just super deep into just becoming a little bit more friendly with my mind. And it's interesting because going into it, I thought it would be this fucking fight and like coming up against all these demons, and the same thing happened in my Ayahuasca ceremony too, which I did in 2020. I went in so ready, and it wasn't planned. It was just something that came to my orbit like very serendipitously, and I took it as a sign. I was like, oh, maybe, but yeah, I was so ready to like face all these things, but I realized that from the ayahuasca experience and even from the darkness experiences that I actually tend to go to a very like loving, calm place that is almost opposite to what my conscious mind convinces me that that's the nature of my mind. And I think that was, like it was so hard to be sitting with the uncertainty of time, but absolutely the most revealing in terms of experiences that I've had that allowed me to understand my mind even more. I would say like the top 3 experiences are being with Wim Hof in Poland, doing ayahuasca in 2020, and going into the darkness, because the 3 covered very different elements of like my psyche and my mind that gave me I felt like almost, I don't know if it's 360, life will tell me, but it gave me a very like full view of what goes in this dome right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the darkness, I know you also you went right after, and I was very excited to hear that. How was your experience?
Well, for those that who either haven't seen the Yes Theory video of going into the darkness or haven't, seen the podcast that I did sharing about my experience, I didn't know that you were going. Yeah. It just so happened that literally I was going the week after that you had signed up and you guys were making a video about it. I was just doing it because it was before I was launching this podcast, and I just felt like this big surge of change happening in my life, and I wanted to go in and like really center, get clear on my vision and what I wanted to create. And for most people for anybody that hasn't heard about what a darkness retreat is, essentially for 4, 5, 6 days, depending on what you want to do, you go into literally a bunker in the earth where there is completely no light, and in this case also no sound. You're completely deprived of those 2 senses, and it's literally just you, your emotions, your thought, your consciousness in a room with like a yoga mat and a bed and a bathtub and a bathroom. You have to learn how to navigate around yourself. A lot of people, this would probably sound kind of morbid to why you would want to do something like that, but the deeper that you know yourself, like the more impactful you're going to be in everything that you do in life. And so while it's extremely difficult, it's important to seek it out, because you're going to become a more refined, alive version of who you truly are in everything that you do. Yeah. And so while those 5, 6 days are very difficult, and like you said, the most difficult thing you've ever done, the reward on the other side is so much beautiful, so beautiful.
And I think there's something very powerful in this experience being very different from plant medicine, for instance, which is also like, a sense of seeking discomfort and going to an unfamiliar place to reconcile or to heal.
It's psychedelic in its own way.
Yeah. Oh, but this one, there's such power to knowing that you are making all these realizations and you're like fully present.
Yeah.
So, in this reality, sober. So yeah, I think I definitely, when I left, I thought this was, plant medicine is for certain people. This is for everyone. Like I actually thought everybody has the capacity within them to, to go in and face obviously they will come up against a lot, but I think it's a more scalable experience to the rest of like human beings.
Yeah.
And I hope, that's why I made the video and I shared my perspective. I hope, and I luckily ever since, like I've had so many friends go and actually, try it, and it's been such a positive experience for, Sky ended up going in, and she also had a great experience. But yeah, to turn off the lights for the first time since birth is such a while. Like there's no time in your life where you will get to actually turn off the lights for that long.
Yeah.
And it's not just turning off the light, turning off the light, turning off the sound, no input whatsoever from the outside. And it's such a, there's something so primal about it, because almost like sometimes I had these visions of like, wow, in our evolutionary history, we did that a lot. Because sometimes it was just like the weather outside or the elements were so unforgiving that we probably were forced into a lot of darkness for a lot of days at a time, probably with no food even, and no water, no light. So yeah, I found a lot of value in going to this like very primal place, uninterrupted. And again, I was also so ready to, and I feel this is nature where like I crave these like big hits of like realizations and epiphanies, but the actual, my experiences with like the most powerful epiphanies is that they came such on a slow burn and so unlike the way I expected them coming with this like epic like realization. It's almost like the persistence of, you know, in this case, the persistence of just like sitting in this uncertainty and noticing how my mind was jumping to these extremes of emotions where within 4 hours, if that was even 4 hours, I have no idea, like I would feel the two extreme ends of an emotion against someone or against a situation or against myself. So, you know, there wasn't like a big thing that I realized. It was more of like, wow, my mind will go to both places and I have to just sit in the middle and not do much.
No, I think we very much so live in a consumer society where if you want to become more, you need to do more, and it's very externally focused based. And I feel like true transformation and growth comes in life in the unraveling of who we think we are, and the unlearning. And in the darkness is a very potent experience to have a deeper understanding of self. And like we talked about earlier, like that's the most important thing, that invaluable thing that you can do to impact the rest of your life. So yeah, for me, my experience was so profound, and prioritizing the inner calmness and inner state, and like having an inner friend to where it's like, if you're afraid of being alone with yourself, obviously you're not in great company, because your mind can be, in many people's experience, like a monster into itself, where it's not nice. And the talk that we have within ourselves has gotten to a very noisy place because we are not used to having so much stimulus in our day-to-day life that we have now. And I feel like so much of our problems stem from that place where we literally have so much dopamine getting hit every single day from our phones and the modern civilization that we live in. So, how do you feel experientially different? Because I do feel like it's not, oh, I had a big aha moment, but for me also, it was very subtle in like the transformation that it actually had. It wasn't like, oh, I had an idea and I'm a different person because I think a different way. It's like, I just am a little bit different from that experience.
For me, it's made me have a little bit more compassion towards myself, because I think I used to believe a lot of lies that my mind, and I wouldn't even like, sometimes even the way we describe something, sometimes it's like seeking this epic story of the way it like all plays out in my mind, but sometimes it's so much more simple. And for me, it's just the way it made me different is that when I experience spikes of emotions and ideas or feelings, I chill out. I wait for a bit and I don't act on these spikes, which has been very, very transformational in such subtle ways. Because I'm a very passionate person and I'm very fiery, and I can get, but now I'm a little bit more chill. And I think even like my friends noticed it, and I'm noticing it. But yeah, it's so I would highly recommend it if you have a chance to go into a dark room. And you don't need to go to the extent of like doing 4, 5, 6 days. I think 48 hours to start can be extreme. You will just feel the most rested you've ever been. I would say like 2 days, you're not necessarily going to go up against like, something big or have enough time to make certain observations about the way your mind functions, because I think you will be like counting down the time, and that will be like almost dopamine is like, well, time is, but you'll, I know that in the first, I'm sure you've experienced that in your first sleep, you sleep deeper and longer than any other time in your life. I think I slept like 18 hours or something.
Wild.
yeah, that I think that reset is so good, because we are living a very unnatural life where my phone vibrates 6 times since I sat down. I'm like, why? There's like, all these hits and all these things that cross my mind that I'm, that are constant distractions and stimulations. And yeah, we're so far removed from, I think, the way we're supposed to